what kind of, because I've definitely seen the shift from afar the last kind of 6 months in particular, what kind of shifted that for you to be able to, I guess, look into that vulnerability or, insight and kind of come out with it?
I don't know if this is like where you were thinking where I'd go with it, but I was doing a competition prep at the time, and I've done a few preps before. I had done like 3 preps before this. I know what a prep was that felt right. The whole entire prep didn't feel right to me. And for the past 4 years of my life, like I was saying before, I've identified myself as a bodybuilder, as a bikini athlete.
Actually, I love that fucking word, identify. It's just identify. It could go so many ways with that today, but anyway, keep going.
but I did. Like, I only identified myself as a bikini athlete.
Yeah.
And I'm getting in this prep and I'm thinking, the last time I prepped, I'm so close to a pro card, I got to get it now. But I knew in my head I wasn't getting it. I knew that. The whole prep I was like, I'm nowhere near ready for a pro card. But I had this ego about me that couldn't pull out. And then I'm also having all these like health issues that are coming up in my prep. I'm in hospital. I'm in and out of hospital. But then I'm like, why am I not pulling out of a prep? And then in the back of my mind, but I'm a bikini athlete. This is what I have to do.
Yeah.
And I think it was coming to that realization that this is not my life forever, and it's not going to be.
Didn't feel congruent with yourself, yeah.
It didn't feel right. And that's why I ended up getting on stage and I looked mediocre, and I look at that now and I'm like, I'm glad I went through that, because I think if I hadn't have done that prep, well, then I still would have been working. I still would have been in a building phase. I still would have had that goal of, the next time I'm on stage is the pro card time. Whereas now I'm like, okay, that's something I want 100% down the track. I'm not giving up on that goal at all, but that's not going to get me far long term, is it? Like having that.
Well, let's actually talk about competing, because I think competing is almost like the maximal reflection of like a lot of stuff that women go through on a day-to-day, like with eating, kind of food choices, eating disorders, with kind of, how they look, how they feel. Like, again, 12 months ago, you wouldn't have gone out for a meal, you wouldn't have, I guess, lived. Like, what would your advice be to, women watching right now, or even, blokes that, they're seeing this with their partner or their wife or something like that, to those women to kind of go from where you were, where you were so rigid, to now it's like you can actually be flexible with it, but still look amazing, still feel amazing, and actually be healthier internally, not just externally.
Like it's so hard, and whether it's good advice or not good advice, I think you actually almost need to go through it.
Yeah, okay.
Because for 3 years, 4 years, definitely I had disordered eating tendencies, and I ate out of a meal prep container for 3 years. Like I would go to a restaurant and I would act like it was fine for me. I'm just not hungry. I don't want something, or I've got a prep coming up, but I was also comfortably prepping because that was comfortable for me. It made it socially acceptable not to eat. But I look back on all those moments and I'm like, it's not that the food that I care about, it's the experience and the memories, because even if I was going out for dinner with someone, I wasn't even aware of the conversation that was being had.
Yeah, because your tummy was probably cramping.
100%. And I was thinking about my meal that I was having at home, and then I would go home and be like, what the fuck were we even talking about at dinner? And like, that's just, it's so sad. But I do think you actually have to go through it and experience those emotions to know that you don't want to be like that. And one thing that helped me, which I wasn't even open about it 10 months ago, is if I had have had a slip up on my diet, or I probably would never have even slipped up, because that wouldn't have crossed my mind to be able to do. But I wasn't comfortable even telling my coach, like, hey, I'm having these feelings. Your coach doesn't want you to be a robot. Like your coach knows you're a human being. And it was about being vulnerable and honest with my coach about my feelings, and actually just saying, hey, this is how I fucking feel, and I don't know what to do about it. Like, why? There's so many things in life like we don't know, but you have to go to someone and reach out for questions. You have to ask advice for. I had to ask for advice on how do I get better at eating, literally, and living. And once you actually de-stress and you do allow yourself to have things, you actually end up looking better because your body's 100%. Not stressed.
Yep. Well, it's not holding on.
No.
It's not resisting. It knows that you're in that kind of anxious
state, your
Anxiety,
cortisol's so high. When I was eating literally out of a meal prep container for 2-3 years, I looked worse than I do now. And now I eat out. Well, if I'm not in a dieting phase and I'm building or I'm maintaining, I eat out most days.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I look better for it.